Hey everybody. I just wanted to invite you in to my studio and show you around. I've reorganized twice in the last 4 months and I think I finally got it where I want it. I just wanted to start on the outside door of my studio. My husband got me this sign. I thought it was fun. When I'm recording, uh-oh. Well, there it goes. Okay, let's come on in. This is the entrance. Please don't mind the carpet. This old gross carpet was here when we bought the house. And I just forgot that I didn't left something on the floor. This old carpet was here when I bought the house, so I just decided to give it a good cleaning so it didn't have any mildew or anything in it, and then just leave it. So if paint splattered or dripped or whatever, that'd be okay. So this is just a box that I have tissue paper in and art paper to wrap paintings in at shows. There's a little foam board to go in between different paintings. I just keep this stuff over here. I have a little landing area with a little step down in here. This room was a build-on. There are several generations of people that lived in this house. There's my little print holder for shows. This is an old table sign, and I keep some frames up there and some other stuff that I'm working on. The closet, and I like to paint rocks sometimes, so box rocks. And then behind here is another little cart and a couple little wooden dowels, because you never know when you're going to need those. Anyway, the kid who lived here before was a teenager and he loved boats, and you'll see how this room was built for him. So this is my closet where I keep books, including my book I wrote, Fallen Down World. I have old copies. It's been since edited since then, so I don't want to sell those. But just little racks to dry stuff in or hang stuff in, hanging on the wall. This is the part that I have not cleaned up yet. This drawer business has, Sharpies, pens, regular pens, all the pencils, glue, just stuff that I don't have to access all the time, but I know where it's going to be. These are all little cutting pens. So far, they haven't been that great. But it might be good for cutting thinner stuff like tissue paper. Post-it notes, just old stuff. This is different greeting cards and stationery and stuff like that. And then I have a little light table back there and a box of stuff I have not cleaned out yet. I have all these bins, most of which are empty now because I did a purge of art supplies and cut way back on my polymer clay supplies. I gave it to a friend who does polymer clay art professionally. Up here is the oven that I use exclusively for baking polymer clay, and the little Pyrex that I use exclusively for that. And there's cornstarch up here, which I don't cook with, but makes a nice bed sometimes for the polymer clay when it's cooking. There's some cork backing and some Seural transfer papers, a couple different colors, and just empty boxes from my pencils and pastels and supplies. This over here is just little extra things for wiring, and for making jewelry and for doing little hooks. There's a little set of cookie cutter shapes in here if I ever want shapes or if I ever want to do something in polymer clay. But I got rid, as I said, of most of the polymer clay stuff because it was actually distracting me and keeping me from my painting. This is a set that I don't know where it came from. I've had it for years, but I don't want to get rid of it just in case it's a ring sizer. Now these are boxes that my husband used foam core to build for me to keep my pastels in. I love chalk pastels. They're not my main thing, but I love them, and I'll bring these drawers out since they're just in 3-drawer stackable Rubbermaid containers, anytime I want to do a pastel piece, I can just bring it out. And I'll probably show you a pastel up in the corner somewhere that I've done in the past. I usually keep that for commission work. But that's the closet. Down there is just gift boxes. That's some packing paper that I use sometimes to wrap paintings and stuff or jewelry. And that is my bag of bags. Well, that's the top of the trash can. I don't use the top of my trash can because I'm always putting stuff in there. Stuff that's covered in wet paint. Anyway, that's my bag of bags that goes to shows with me so I can put purchases in the bags or wrap them in the paper. That's just my Douglas tartan, Scottish roots, and those are just stored supplies and papers, frankly, from my English Lit degree that I've never gotten rid of. Maybe one day I'll write a book. You never know. Okay, coming out of the closet. This is where I keep my little plein air easel stored. It's a French easel, and I never use it for plein air because it's heavy, super heavy. It's got legs, it's got everything in it that needs to be in it, but it's really heavy. So anytime I want to do plein air, something in that, it's going to be if I can take it out and set it up right next to the car. This is my ring light. Just a couple little storage shelves that hubby made me a while back so I could put flatter pieces on. Those two pieces up at the top left are pieces I did way back in the 80s when I was in high school. But I kept them to remind me how far I've come, I think. I thought I was a really great artist, and it wasn't bad, but wasn't fab. And then some other pieces. These are pieces I did, the left one in pastels and the right one in colored pencil, of my little Havanese pocket that we lost about 1.5 years ago, a little over, almost 2 years ago actually. He was the best boy. So before I had my studio set up, I had my pouring table here where I did all the messy stuff, but I had all of my pouring stuff back in that corner. So I was constantly having to climb over my chair and my table and my computer and stuff for my acrylic paintings to bring pouring stuff back and forth. And the other day I thought, what am I doing? What's wrong with me? All of my pouring stuff needs to be at one end of the room, at one end. And I don't mind it being under. This is the where the boat theme comes in. I have yet to remove the hooks. I've been here for 6 years, but I've yet to remove the hooks he used to hang stuff from. I think he hung oars up there. And he made a little ship size window for his room. There's also a skylight up there. And some people have asked me, well, why don't you set up your easel underneath that skylight? Because it's too bright. It puts a glare on the piece that I'm working on. And so I like to keep my pieces out of direct light and in more indirect light. Let's start at this end of the room. This is my travel kit that I'm putting together because I'm going on a 2 plus a few days weeks road trip. I'm going in a big giant loop to visit family that I've been kind of torn apart to visit because they're all in different places. So I'm just going to make the rounds and cross probably 13 something states to do it. But it'll be about 2.5 weeks I'm on the road, and I'm taking my plein air supplies with me. I'll show you that in another video. Up there, those are definitely potty pads for adult underpads for beds, but I have used them in the past when I'm doing something really messy or to catch pastel dust. They're great at catching pastel dust that falls down, and then I don't have to dust it and it doesn't get all musty dusty in the room. But also I used to use it for pour paintings to pour over, but I feel like that's a huge waste. It's a waste of resources, and I don't want to use those anymore. So that's my last package of pads. It's never been open, but I keep it just in case. These are all mats to go around pieces that are finished. Same with that. Up there are little envelopes for when I sell jewelry. They're just small 4x6, I think, padded envelopes for when I sell a necklace or something. There's all my varnishes and a little computer keyboard cleaner. But my varnishes, my studio's right next to the back door. So when I varnish a painting, I take it straight out back and do it outside because I'm not breathing that stuff. And these are some of my canvases, the smaller 14 by 14 and down. And then on this second to the last level is also smaller canvases, 10 by 24s, tiny little 3 by 3s here, and some other small bits and bobs. And down on the bottom is all of my watercolor and pastel papers and my little cutting board, which I'm going to get out actually because I want that on my painting table. Okay. All right. Next to that, just a favorite Van Gogh poster, and Highland cow and calf that I painted using pour painting techniques and then painting details over the top at one point in my life. I need to repaint the room. It's not looking great. And that navy blue is not my favorite. That was here when I got here too. And these are all my collection of some canvases waiting for something to be embellished over the top, and some that are blank and empty and new. And then, and that's my alma mater, North Carolina Central University Eagles. Go Eagles. Anyway. This is my drying rack. It is, for those of you cooks out there, an old baker's rack I bought from a bakery cafe that had stopped using it. And my husband helped cut me these little prefab shelves so that I could dry paintings on them. So these paintings are all lying in wait for me to do something with them. Now this one is just an old painting that I don't like, and I'm not sure if I want to embellish it or just, toss it or something. I don't know. Give it away. This is one I've just been thinking about working on, that I've just put little outlines in of a pour that I'm going to turn into kind of a little fairy village of some kind, a little magical village, just because I like fantasy art sometimes too. And down here, I have more spaces for storage and also some ceramic tiles for when I make coasters. I'll show you a picture of that too up in the corner when I edit the video. And then old lunchroom trays my husband brought home from work one day from his work cafeteria, and brought them to me so I could use them and balance stuff that I've painted on the drip trays. I used a shoe rack, and there's my little gas mask, for when I do use any kind of solvent in the room inside. I can wear that, or if I'm outside spray painting and don't want any spray blowing back in my face, I can wear the little respirator mask. And my little pegboard, and then I hung a shoe rack from the pegboard that I didn't use for shoes to just put various and sundry supplies in, like sandpaper, big palette knives, etc. These are all things that I tend to use when I'm doing fluid art, backgrounds and stuff. These I might use in paintings when I'm doing abstract work and stuff, but mostly I don't use them very often, and mostly I use them in pours. And this I just keep because if I need a good circle shape, I've got one. Got straws for blowing paint around, got little tools for cutting wire, etc. These are my back collection of coconut milk hair serum, OGX coconut milk hair serum. This stuff has dimethicone as the first, you can't see it. Dimethicone is the first ingredient, which is a safe form of silicone for me to breathe. And then some kitchen sponges, brushes, just all kinds of things to make different patterns and stuff in my art. Couple gallons of water. This is Floetrol that I sometimes use to thin my paint, and then underneath it is a gallon of Liquitex pouring medium, which can also be used as varnish on the outside of a painting. And this is my pour paint shelves. This is all the craft paints I use to blend my colors in my backgrounds. And then down here is all the just extra stuff. This is where I mix my big stuff. And in here are is the box for my gouache paints that are in my travel kit. And then some water-soluble oils, which I have not yet painted with, but I'm determined to do so. And Michael's was having a giant sale. And I knew I would need a lot more white than I need any other color. So I just got a couple tubes because they were buy one, get one. And then down here is my pre-mixed pouring paints that I can just use right out of the bottle. And then down here is just some clips and some easel mixing dishes and that kind of thing that I just don't use very often. Over here, just a little extra trash can, some lights I haven't decided where to put yet. And then here are a few more supplies. I've got a torch for popping bubbles and, rulers. These are pieces of cardboard that I've cut up to use to basically spread paint around when I'm using it, to get different textures and stuff. Same with the yarn. I use it to get different textures in different backgrounds and paintings. Then down here I have a little glue gun that I bought and have not used yet, some Pearl-Ex powders that I use on occasion. In the bottles back there are more Liquitex pouring medium from an old gallon that was starting to not seal well, so I put it all in bottles. And then my Liquitex varnishes in there. I also have a Duraclear Deco Art varnish. I only use that varnish on painted stones. I do not use it on paintings because I don't know, I just don't like it. I don't like how it lays. Liquitex is the varnish for me when I'm not spray varnishing. Just a bunch of containers. I always reuse the dog food containers, all that stuff. Some more paint pouring bottles. They're condiment bottles. You can get them at Walmart like for 85 cents a piece. There's a little paint dripping cloth that I use if I'm really painting a huge painting and it overlaps the table. Bag of rags. I always upcycle everything I use. Back there in that box is some easels that were made of foam board that I can put jewelry on. And back in the back are the boxes containing my prints of paintings, some table covers, all the stuff that I need to take to shows but don't need to have out in the middle of my studio. And this is my pouring table. This is where I do backgrounds for my paintings. As I said, I like to do backgrounds and then paint stuff over the top. That's the beginnings of a dragon I was painting on that wood circle. These are Lazy Susans that I sometimes use both to paint rocks so I can paint several at a time and to spin underneath a painting when I'm trying to do something interesting. This is a washing machine water catcher tub that goes usually under a washing machine that I bought for 20 bucks like 7 years ago. And it works great once I have it leveled. I level it out, make sure everything's level before I start painting. And then once I do a painting, put that up there. Once I do a painting, this is my drip pan down here. I also sometimes save the drips. And it is very cathartic to once in a while peeling these drips up. It's kind of cathartic. It's like, peeling from a sunburn or something. These are just shelves up here in the corner of stuff I've done in the past, a little paper cutting that I had given to my mother-in-law, and she passed away, my former mother-in-law, but she stayed my mother-in-law even after my first husband and I weren't married anymore. And a little flagstone painting I did of a girl I saw at a Ren fair and thought had this kind of wistful, faraway look in her eyes. There's several little different art books, art magazines, little pop-up things that my husband has gotten me over the years. I have a little Bob Ross one back there that I have never painted. I just don't know if I want to. I kind of like it blank. but, you know, just those little pop things. Some cards that hubby's gotten me in the past. A remote for the ceiling fan, which I never turn on unless I'm trying to dry something, because it annoys me and I get chilly. I don't like wind blowing on me when I'm trying to work. A couple fun things that my husband's gotten me. Gloves, of course, that are good for everywhere. And then this right here is my little tripod easel for my phone, so I can put my phone in to film. I always film things when I'm painting from the right because I'm a lefty. And so my arm would be in the way if I filmed from the left side. But anyway, this is just a little rolling moving table that I can move out of my way when I want it, but my laptop is there. I can clean hair there. This is a little battery that I keep around. It'll recharge your phone camera, you know, several times in a row. That's going to go on my trip with me. I take it when I travel. And then we're back to, this is my actual painting station. I just created this. It's my little cubby hole for painting. This chair is one of a set that I got years and years ago, probably close to 20 years ago, from thrift store. They're just old office chairs, but they're super comfortable, and my arms stay free because they don't have arms on them, but you can sit very comfortably in them for long periods of time if you're painting sitting down, and then you can just shove it back because it's on wheels if you want to lift up your easel and paint standing up. This painting is pretty big. It's 24 by 36, I think, or by 30. And it's my most recent Highland coup. Anybody wants it? Well, by the time this film airs, it might be sold, but if it's not, it's $480. Pretty good size painting for that, I'd say. Okay, so here is my little paint and brush station. I pulled this out earlier because I'm going to set this. This is a cutting mat, but I'm going to set it underneath my Stay Wet palette because it slides around on this table. I got this table specifically for this area. It goes over all my Rubbermaid bins that have tape and frisket, paper, spare brushes, all that stuff over there, plus paint rags, tape in that drawer, paint rags underneath. And then these are all of my acrylic paints, which is what my main stuff is acrylic. My main paintings are in acrylics, though I've been using more and more gouache lately, which is like an opaque watercolor sort of thing, on my travels because it's much easier to clean up, and I'm learning to paint outside, and gouache is really good for that. And then down there is just a little bunch of acrylic paint markers. Sometimes I use them to get stuff started. Sometimes I use them to put detail in at the end. And just a little wax palette down here. My main palette is my Stay Wet palette. It's this one. It's a sheet of glass, a glass palette inside my Masters and Stay Wet palette. A lot of people, I bought this at first and used, there was a sponge that came with it that you had to wet, and then paper that you had to soak. There's some of it still over there, but paper that you had to soak to keep your paint wet. And I discovered that all I need to do is keep my regular glass palette in there and when I've got it open, keep my fine mister. Now this is a fine mister. It doesn't spray droplets, it sprays a mist. So when I'm blending colors on my painting, it doesn't drip. There's no drippiness. And I just keep my paints wet with that. And then when I get ready to close and seal, see that little crack? That helps you seal the palette there. Once it's sealed, my wet acrylic paint will keep 2 to 3 weeks in there. If I went away and forgot about it once. I took a 10-day trip out of town and forgot that I had wet paint still in there. I had spritzed it, I had closed it. When I got back, almost every single piece of paint in there, almost every single color was still usable and still wet. I think the only thing that wasn't was my titanium white. For some reason, the titanium white dries a little faster, even if it's really wet. So Might want to keep that in mind when painting. I bought this table because it fits and I bought it at a thrift place, the same place actually, only it was yesterday that I bought these red chairs. And I bought it because I wanted a tabletop surface too, so if I'm painting gouache in a sketchbook, I've got a place to do it because you paint flat when you paint stuff like that, and I needed a flat surface and just didn't have one here in the room. And also, it just makes a great tabletop. My Rubbermaid stuff fits perfectly under it. I mean, there's maybe half a centimeter space between those and the table. And all of my stuff fits under or on top, and it just keeps it in this great little thing. There's my little tablet over there that I use sometimes for reference photos for the most part, so that I can have my computer used for searching things. This little doodad is a little mini microphone that the mic itself, or the receiver, plugs into your phone while you're filming, and then the mic can be sat near you while you're talking. If you have it up too close, like if I use the little hooks to hook on my chest, let me pause you and I'll open it. I'm not using it right now because I'm moving around and just don't feel like it. But this is the little receiver that goes into your phone. And then these are the little mics. This one with the furry top is to help keep background noise like out if you're outside. But they have these clippies on them that you can clip to your clothes. I discovered when I did that, it picked up every single bit of rustling of cloth, every movement, every stomach growl that it could possibly be. It's a good little microphone, apparently. But if I sit it an arm's length away from me, no matter where my phone is in the room, that mic really picks up well and is a little bit less, sounds like you're talking in a box like the phone is. So let me get up. I'll back up and we'll get a grand view. There's the back end of the room with the step up in the closet. And then here is my new painting station that I've made, which I love. And all of my pouring paints are back there, and my oil-based, water-based oils back there again, which I haven't used yet. I'll probably move them up here. And then all of my colored pencils, pastel pencils, etc., plus some canvases and other stuff, all on that shelf. And my papers down at the bottom behind a couple canvases that I've primed. I've prepped a couple of canvases that I'm going to be painting a portrait on. I'm not going to be showing that portrait because it's for someone's birthday. And I'm going to keep that one private because that's a friend family thing. But anyway, so I'm very lucky that we found a house. It's an older home. It was built in 1970, but they kept building on to the back and to the back and to the back. And this is at the very back of the house looking out over the backyard. Maybe I'll show you my view. Really a good one. Our backyard is pretty. It's overgrown right now, but it's pretty. But that's our backyard, and that's my view out of my ship's window here. I need to clean out the cobwebs. I just have a little temp screen in here because the window is shaped so weird. So you can pull it out in order to push the window open, and it looks like a little spider has taken up a residence in there because it's been summer and it's been hot here in North Carolina, so I have not opened that window and I have not used anything chemically in here as a process. I also have a spider that has taken residence up in my skylight, and I'm going to pull the little egg sac down that it looks like has been built because I don't want lots of little spiders in here. But as long as she stays up there and lets me be, she can stay there because she gets rid of gnats and mosquitoes. But I do need to clean off the outside of my skylight. I need to get on the roof. There's been slugs up there, it looks like. But it's kind of nice to look up at the clouds, even through the dirty skylight. And it's also nice because I don't often have to use the natural or the LED lights on this old ceiling fan in my room. But anyway, as I said, rabbit trails. I have too many. I've learned I have ADHD, as you can probably tell. And I have learned that sometimes I have too many thoughts in my head and I need to close the tabs because there's too much stuff going on. But anyway, I'm very lucky that they built this room on because it is absolutely the perfect studio for me now that I have it organized in a way that I have space and can move around. I used to have that table run down, right down the middle of the room, and it was absolutely ridiculous trying to get around it because my canvases were stuck on one side and other stuff was stuck on the other side, and there was very little walking room. And now I have room for everything. I don't know why it didn't dawn on me before. But anyway, I hope you all have a great day. Click subscribe. See you later.